All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
Hey, what's happening? Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I must say that it really feels great to know that you are listening. It feels awesome to have you around. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for tuning in, right? My name is Andrew and I am your show host of all time. This is The Void, a show on Active FM. And if I could just tell you one fun and quick fact for today, if you're sometimes surfing through the internet and let's assume that it is with an even reason that you find a show, right? And you hear the host of that show say, radio has never been better. If that happens to you, just know that you are not at all in the wrong place, but you are at home. Right. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Void Show. And if it's your first time listening to The Void Show, welcome to the family. Let me tell you something if it's your first time. And you've got to believe me on this one. The Void Show is the only show that offers a perspective. Okay. It offers a perspective and it gives a perspective to some of your profound questions about the mysteries of the universe. So we're going to learn stuff today, right? Which really brings me to what we're speaking about today. Now, you surely have seen what we're speaking about. We are speaking about telescopes, right? Telescopes. I'm sure almost everyone knows what a telescope is, but if you have no idea, we're also going to be covering that today. Now, it cannot be denied that telescopes play a key role in observational astronomy. That cannot be denied, okay? Because had it not been for telescopes, the universe could have pretty much remained a nightmare to us. Right? I mean, there would be so much that we would not know about the universe, right? So we really do see that telescopes really play a very important role in observational astronomy. But you know what's more exciting? Not only in observational astronomy, but for entertainment as well. Because there are people who bought telescopes for themselves, or people who are still to buy telescopes for themselves. And if you want to hear a reason for that, they just want to gaze the sky. They just want to see stars marching in the sky. They just want to see the moon, with a much more closer look, right? And so that's for entertainment. So telescopes really also do play part in our daily lifetime, right? They bring in, they entertain us, right? So it really cannot be denied that telescopes are pretty much important, right? Like things that are important in our lifetime. So today we're going to be covering some of the basic things about telescopes, right? Like we're going to understand how they work, okay? It's fun to gaze the night sky with a telescope, okay? It's really cool to know how the moon looks like at a much more closer look, right? That's perfect. That's okay. But imagine if you could know how they work. Imagine that. If you could gaze the sky with your telescope, knowing the dynamics behind the functioning of the telescope. Imagine your life. You would be a genius. Okay, so that's what we're going to be covering today. And I have a very interesting game that I want to play with you, okay? And, learning is not a spectator sport, right? You've got to engage with us, okay? So I have a quote, and this quote says, "All of this has been discovered and observed these last days, thanks to the telescope that I have built after having been enlightened by divine grace." So someone said that quote in the past, okay? Now I want you to tell us who said that quote, and you might just be called on The Void Show in our next week episode, okay? So we're going to be covering that today, and right after this, we will begin our quest, we will begin our journey to discover or to understand, to get an insight about the functionality of eyes in space, or slash telescopes. Stay with us.
Hey, wake up. It's the fairies here. Can you hear them? Listen, can you hear them? It's them.
FM radio has never been better.
Okay, great. So please do not forget to get in touch with us. Right, we are there on WhatsApp, +2784 505 1166. Right, otherwise you can get a code to that WhatsApp line on our Instagram page, and Active FM Instagram account handle is at ActiveFM777. Okay, so please do show. And why am I telling you this? That's because remember that we have a game on the show today. We've got a game, right? And what is the game? You basically just tell us the name of the person who said the code that we mentioned earlier on the show, right? So if you get it right, you stand a chance of being called out on the Void Show. So please do that for us. Now, as this marks the beginning of our journey to understand more about telescopes, right? So, probably a good question to ask at this point in time would be, what is a telescope? Okay, and that's a good question. And interestingly, we can define a telescope by what it does. Okay, that's really how we define it. And even the name, a telescope, the name defines the telescope, right? Like a tool telescope, by what it does. Okay, so pretty simple. So a telescope, it's actually two words that are merged together. It's tele and scope. Okay, tele and scope. So wherever you come across the word tele, just know that it means at a distance, which means remotely. Okay, that's what the word tele means. Let's see if we can come up with any words. Telephone, teleportation, telecommunication, telescope. Okay, so we can see that there's a trend in all of these things because they all work at a distance. Okay, they all function at a distance. It's a telephone. So what does that mean? You use it to call someone that's at the distance away from you. Okay, so wherever you come across the word tele, just know that it involves something or some functioning, some sort of a functioning that happens remotely or that happens at a distance. So in this context, a telescope would mean a tool that we use to gaze the universe. Okay, obviously things that we gaze are things that are at a distance. Okay, things that are at incredibly huge distances, right? So that's really what a telescope is. And so yeah, we define it by what it does. Right, we define it by what it does. So yeah, that's pretty much what a telescope is. So I want to speak about one thing, right? And there's a question that, okay, let's start here. How do you interact with your environment? That's a good question, by the way. How do you interact with your environment? And why am I asking this question? I'm asking because there's a point that I'm trying to drive home. And what is that point? The point is, how do telescopes work? Or maybe why do we need telescopes? Right? Probably because we need to view the universe. Oh yeah, obviously we need to view the universe, but there's a handful of reasons of why we would need a telescope. So let's try to get there with steps. How do you interact with your environment? Or maybe how do us as humans interact with our environments? It's pretty easy, right? With our five senses, okay? we know that we have 5 senses, and let's see if we can remember them. We've got like smelling, we've got touching, we've got hearing. What's the other two? We've got it's tasting, and the other one is cannot believe I forgot it. It's seeing, right? It's seeing. I remember them. So those are our 5 senses, and that's how we are able to interact with our environment. Okay, but now the question is, why are we able to interact with our environment like that? Why does this have to work? Why does this have to do that? Well, it is said that that's because our brains, they analyze what our senses record. Okay, it's kind of like our senses record data. You touch stuff, that's data. You smell stuff, you see stuff. Okay, so in order for you to actually do that and for it to make sense that I'm actually seeing someone, that's because your brain analyzes what your senses record. Okay, and then it interprets this data for it to make sense. Okay, and so where am I going with this? I'm saying this because that's pretty much how things work in the field of astronomy as well. Okay, so what do I mean by that? In the field of, we obviously need data, right? Obviously, astronomers study the universe, and so in order to study the universe, we obviously need data from the universe. Okay, so we've made a lot of discoveries. I mean, in astronomy, we've got a lot of discoveries and a lot of things about the universe, right? But why are they there? That's because there's been data that's been collected, right? And it was analyzed and it was interpreted. That's why there are explanations to describe things, to describe phenomena, right? That's why it is like that. And interestingly and luckily, we are able to collect data from our solar system, right? And what we mean by our solar system is what? It's like our family of planets, asteroids, comets, like everything that's in our solar system, our sun, right? Like our sun is like the big, huge parent, okay? So we are likely able to collect data directly from our solar system because, there's been trips to the moon, and so there's been a material data that's been collected from the moon, and then it gets to Earth, and there's analysis that goes into place, right? And there's interpretation of the data. That's why we're able to speak about properties of the moon, right? That's because there's been data that's been analyzed and it's been interpreted. Okay, so that's really how it goes. And it is also, we are able as well to go to other planets, okay, if you want to collect some data from other planets, because there are spacecrafts. You've seen launches to space, to other planets, right? You've seen that. So we are able to get some data from some of the celestial bodies that are in space, meteorites, meteors, right, things like that. So likely we are able. But then the big question would be, then how do we do this about the universe, like the entire universe, like the distanced galaxies, stars? How are we able to do this? Because we claim to know about them. So then how are you able to do that? Right? It's a good question. How were we able to do that? And here's an answer for that. It's the light. Yeah, it's light. It's simple as that. We know what we know about Andromeda galaxy, about stars, because of their light. Right? Obviously, these bodies emit light. Okay? They emit light. It doesn't really matter with reflection or with what, but they emit light. And so this is where telescopes get into place. This is where they appear into place. We use telescopes to collect light. That's actually how it works, right? That's actually how it works. And in fact, did you know that telescopes work like they work pretty much the same way as our eyes? Okay? Our eyes work with light. We are able to see things because of light. Okay, it enters our eyes. That's why you can't see in the dark, because there's no light that you can see, like visible light that you can see. Right? That's why it's dark. I mean, not really, but you get what I'm saying, right? That's why you can't see in the dark, because right, there's no light. If you get where I'm going with this, okay. So which means the basis for what we are seeing is light. Okay, so it's the same way. We take light from distant stars using telescopes, and we analyze this light, we interpret this light, and with that we are able to understand how these things work. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Telescopes work pretty much the same way as our eyes. Okay, like the basis of their functionality is the same, and it's light. Okay, you see your camera, your glasses, your glasses are your glasses, like your eyeglasses. Okay, the glasses you use to see things well. Your camera, your lenses, those things work with light. Okay, that's just the basis. They work with light, right? And so let's first understand how eyes work. Okay, and I'm not going to go long on how eyes work because we want to speak about telescopes, right? But why not speak about eyes first and see how they work, and then take that knowledge to telescopes, right? See if we can relate the things and understand why actually things works. So, I mean, obviously our eyes are one of, complicated organs in our bodies, but why do they actually work? Your eyes is some sort of a ball, okay? Some sort of a ball, and in front of your eye, there's a lens. There's what we call a lens, okay? And so what is the function of a lens? There's plenty of functions, okay? Excuse me if I'm speaking fast. I get excited and I speak fast. But in front of your eye, there's a lens, okay? And the purpose of the lens is to bend light. Like, what do we mean? Light travels in straight lines, okay? Parallel straight lines. It's like a stream of lines. If the sun, emits light to space, it's like stream of lines that are traveling to space, okay? It's like stream of continuous lines that are traveling to space. So we can imagine light like that. So it travels in straight lines. So I'll tell you a very interesting thing. The moment the light from the sun enters our atmosphere, it bends. There's an observation. It bends. That's what happens. It's an observation. We see this. It bends. That's what it does, right? And that's because, remember, it's traveling in space, okay? It's traveling in space. And when it enters our atmosphere, that's a total different medium, okay? It's like a total different medium. And so two different mediums, two different densities, it bends, okay? And obviously it would start to slow down, right? But that's another thing. And you can actually do this by yourself. Take a glass of water, okay? Take a glass of water and make sure that it's a glass, okay? It's like transparent. Put water in there and have some sort of a pencil, right? If you place your glass of water on a table and you slowly dip the pencil or the pen inside the glass of water, look at what happens when the pencil is like make sure that maybe you put it halfway through, right? So the half part, the other half of the pencil is in the water, like dipped in the water, and the other one it's still outside the water. Look at what do you see? Look at what do you see when the pencil is underwater, and what do you see when it's still outside? Check the differences. You will see that immediately when you dip the pencil inside the water, it bends, it shifts. That's what it does, right? And that's what we call refraction. So it totally bends, and so that's what happens. You cannot deny it. You see it, okay? It happens, and so that's the function of your lens, okay? When light enters your eye, it bends. Where does it bend to? At the back of your eye, some sort of like a ball, your eye. So at the back of your eye, you've got what we call retina. And retina has cells, right? And these cells that are found in the retina are light sensitive. Okay, so what we mean by that, that means when they are triggered by light, they respond. Okay, so they then send signals to the brain that there's light coming, and or there's light here, and via what we call optic nerve, and the brain would then start to analyze what your cells said, and that's why you would actually get to see a picture of what you are seeing, right? It's a process that happens so quickly, but that's actually how telescopes work. That's how they work, right? They work with the use of a lens. Why? Because it works. It works. Why not use it? You get what I'm saying? So there's a lens, okay? There's a lens, and we maybe focus to the moon, right? We focus this lens to the moon. Our telescope, we're obviously focusing it to the moon. That's because we want to look at the moon, or we want to look at Sirius, certain star. We want to see that. So we will obviously take our telescope to the direction of the moon, and it would the light from that would come in straight lines through space, enters our Earth, and go to our telescope, right? So our telescopes receive this light through that lens, okay? So these light rays enter the lens of a telescope. And what does a lens do? It bends these light, okay? So they are made in such a way that when this light bends, it is directed to what we call a focal point, okay? And then it will obviously go to your eye, which is where the image of the star would be formed, okay? And it would obviously be much more bigger, right? And that obviously depends on things like the magnification of the lenses, like properties of the lens, how thick the lens is, things like that. It differs with properties of the lens. You get what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how things work, okay? So I'm sure that you're enjoying the show, and what is a good show without music? So we're going to play a song for you, and after the song, we're going to be discussing things like what types of telescopes there are, maybe you want to buy a telescope and things like that. So here's a song by Leland saying to you, Waymaker. It's a remix. Enjoy.
Sing this together, even when I don't see it. Come on, even when I don't see it, you work. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Come on. Even when I don't see it, you work. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Even when I don't see it, you're working. That is who you are. You are waymaker, light in the darkness. Oh, his name is above. His name is above depression. His name is above loneliness. Oh, his name is above disease. His name is above cancer. His name is above every other name. Listen to this. That is who you are. That is who you are. Jesus, and that is who you are. Oh, I know that is who you are.
And that was Leland Waymaker playing on radio. That is Active FM. It is a radio station, but it's active. Thank you for still being with us. If you're still here, it means you're loving what we're speaking about. We are speaking about telescopes, right? These are portals of discovery. Had it not been for them, I mean, we would still be having nightmares about the universe, right? So the universe would have pretty much remained a misery, right? to us, right? So they are really important tools. So before this beautiful jam, we were speaking about how telescopes actually work, right? And there's a common misconception that people have, and people guess that magnification of a telescope, right? And what we mean by magnification would be the level that your telescope can magnify things. Okay. That's what magnification is. What do we mean? So that's like zooming things, obviously, right? That's a property of a telescope. But is it really an important property of a telescope? Maybe Maybe not, but most probably maybe not. And let's see why this is like this. You see, even though telescopes can magnify images, or even though telescope can really zoom images, the amount of magnification a telescope can actually give is not really one important property, okay? Because no matter how much a telescope can actually magnify a thing, as long as your telescope does not collect enough light, you basically cannot see details. It's just going to be a blurred image, okay? So where does this take us? It takes us to a point that one important other property of a telescope is the amount of light it actually collects, okay? So I don't know if you've seen with cameras, there's like a focusing thing that happens, right? Why is it not focusing? That's because maybe it's with exposure time. With enough exposure time, enough amount of light collected, and then clear images. Okay, so it doesn't really matter if your image can magnify or zoom things, but as long as it does not collect enough light, you'd basically see a zoomed image that doesn't make sense. Okay, that's just blurred and stuff. So light collecting area as well of a telescope is one of the most key properties of a telescope, and there are others as well, like your angular resolution. But yeah, let's speak about types of telescopes, or maybe like basic designs of telescopes, right? Right. So there are actually two types, or two basic designs of telescopes, right? Two of them. And the first one is a refracting telescope, okay? And luckily, a refracting telescope is the one that works pretty much like our own eye. I've just explained that, okay? So luckily today we've explained how refracting telescopes work, right? They are called refracting telescopes because of they can, so the action of bending light, okay? Remember that we said light bends as it enters a lens. That action is called refraction, okay? So a telescope that works by refracting light, right, and obviously focusing the light and sending it to your eye, those are called refracting telescopes, okay? They obviously collect the light with lenses, like large, big lenses, and those lenses would then refract the light, and the light will be focused, and that's why you will actually see the picture, all right? So the second kind of a telescope is a reflecting telescope. Okay, so what is something that reflects light? If you have a mirror and you shine a light towards that mirror, what does the mirror going to do? It's going to reflect the light. Okay, that's what it does. That's what we call reflection. Okay, reflection of light. So the second type of telescope that we have is called a reflecting telescope. How does it work? It works with mirrors. Okay, so there are two mirrors that are actually put inside a telescope, and the first mirror would obviously, and these are curved, right? And their curvature as well will determine the amount of bending, or reflecting actually. Right, so there are actually a few mirrors inside this telescope, two mirrors actually, and the first one is called the primary one, and the second one, right? So the first mirror would actually gather this light, would take this light and send it to the second mirror, okay? And the second mirror would obviously reflect the light to a focus, and the focus would basically be where your eye can observe this image of what you are looking. Maybe it's a star or something, right? So this is how it actually works. You focus your telescope to what you want to observe. Maybe it's a star, maybe it's a moon, or maybe it's whatever. And what happens, the light from that would reach your telescope. It enters through your lens, right? Through your mirror, right? And obviously what we've just spoke about happens. And after it has happened, you basically get a clear image of what what you are observing, right? So that's pretty much how the kind of telescopes that we have, right? So yeah, I mean, if you want to buy yourself a telescope, so now you know that there are actually two designs of telescopes. It's a reflecting telescopes and refracting telescopes. Okay, refracting ones use lenses, the same process that we talked about to bend light and all the stuff. And we've got reflecting telescopes, and these do what? They work with mirrors. Okay, so there's a misconception as well that people have. We obviously have telescopes in space, right? Like the Hubble telescope. So a lot of people think that telescopes that are put in space are much more effective or advantageous because they're much closer to stars, and so they're much closer to stars, and that's actually a misconception because, I mean, distances to stars are crazily big, right? They are so big that even if the telescope can go to space, that's like not times 10 to the 69 million, not one at the end percentage or shift, right, in the distance, because they are so at incredibly huge distances that it does not make any difference. Okay, so one of the reasons telescopes are in space is because of when they are ground-based telescopes, so there are obviously some disturbances that occur, right? Like radio waves, right? Obviously, radio waves. We're on the radio today, so there are waves. Calls. People are making calls. Those are waves. Radiation. So there's a lot that can happen that can disturb the effective functionality of these when they are ground-based telescopes. Okay, so hence they are sent to space, okay, so that they can receive enough amount of light without any disturbance. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I mean, I hope you enjoyed the show. I absolutely did. So thank you so much for being here with us. And right after this, I will be revealing the answer to our question, right? To our question today, like who set the code. And yeah, I hope you sent in your texts. I hope you did the do's, right? So yeah, stick with us. And right after this, we will be revealing the answer.
Rapid Trade is passionate about mobility and solutions that make a difference in your business. From mobile sales and sales management to van sales and proof of delivery. For a demo, call Rapid Trade on 011-493-9755. Rapid Trade, ahead of the game.
Great. So that was beautiful, wasn't it? Right? So let's see if there's anyone who guessed the answer correct. Right, so maybe for reference, let me just repeat our code, and here it goes. All of this has been discovered and observed these last days thanks to the telescope that I have built after having been enlightened by divine grace. Hear the drum rolls for your answer. And the answer is the person who said that code is Galileo. Right, so obviously Galileo is one of the most popular people in science, right? He created a telescope for himself, actually, and he's the one that used it to observe Jupiter moons. Okay, so the 4 Jupiter moons, Ganymede, Io, all those moons, they were discovered by Galileo's telescope. So yeah, so it's Galileo who said that. So we had a great time today. I hope you enjoyed the show. please do make sure to get in touch with us on Active FM. It has an Instagram page at Active FM 777. Facebook handle is /Active FM 777. Twitter is at Active FM. We are literally everywhere, but a safe platform for you though to find us is www.activefm.co.za. We're literally everywhere. Gab, Parler, Reddit, Spotify, YouTube, and we've got plenty of shows. If you go on our website, you'll definitely find all our shows there. We've got different presenters with different energy levels. We've got crazy and fun shows there, so you definitely want to check us out there. The Void Show does have a Facebook official page. Our handle is at The Void Show with Andrew. Got any question, you've got any comments, you want to say anything, please do make sure to send us a text. And from me, myself, and I'll see you next time, the same place. Have a great and amazing week ahead of you.
Active FM. Radio has never been better.